Hello and welcome back to the Wheel Talk podcast. My name is Abby Mickey and I am here with Georgie Howe and Gracie Elvin to talk about women's professional road cycling. Although today we are going to dabble in the Gravel World Championships because, well, frankly, there's a lot to talk about out of that race. Georgie, hello.
Hello, I'm ready to talk about some dirt. Hopefully get some dirt on the dirt.
Gracie Elvin.
Hello. Yeah, we've obviously got a lot to talk about just with that one race and others, but I wish I'd been able to do Gravel Worlds actually in my time. I think that would have been a really fun way to end the season. So yeah, I'm a bit jealous of some of these riders. I think it's kind of fun, but obviously, yeah, we'll go a bit deeper on that one.
I don't know if it was fun for everyone though, Gracie. One person in particular was very upset.
Yes.
Rightfully so, in my opinion.
Yep, and mine too.
Well, we're going to talk about Gravel Worlds. We're going to talk about a couple of the latest transfers, and there was other racing going on. Plus, we've got China coming up and the end of the Women's World Tour calendar, the end of road cycling in 2025, the end of this podcast. No, just kidding.
She's just kidding. She is just kidding. You can't make those jokes at this point in the season. People are too tired. Me included.
Because yeah, all of us included. Let's start with the Gravel Worlds because it was obviously the World Championships, which is a conversation in and of itself. There was a lot going on prior to the World Championships. I mean, this World Championships was already a little bit chaotic from the beginning as it was supposed to be in Nice, October 18th and 19th, but it was changed to Leuven area in the spring already and moved a week earlier. So already it was, with the date change and conflicts with the Leadville 100 Grand Prix calendar in the US, and a lot of the higher profile gravel events for the gravel pros going on. It was already going to be a race for the World Tour riders. Plus, there's a lot to say in the legitimacy of the Gravel World Championships. Gravel, the UCI coming into gravel when it was starting to get off the ground, wanting to be involved, but have never really adapted their Gravel World Championships to fit the gravel landscape itself. The length of the races, for one, it was 131 kilometers, so quite short for a gravel race. And it was, with a lot of the gravel pros sitting this one out, the start list included, 25 Dutch riders, 11 German riders, 13 from GB, 8 Belgian. So it was really, really heavily tilted towards the road cycling nations already. And it really was a race for the Dutch. What do you guys think about Gravel Worlds as a whole and kind of the conflicts with the calendars and the fact that we don't get any like actual gravel pros? Like the last couple years we've had some, but for the most part last year and this year it's basically a road race on gravel.
I think it's tricky because I think we need to be able to like champion all different sides of the sport, but the issue comes when we have the gravel specialists unable to kind of shine on what is potentially the highest stage of gravel, which is the World Championships, and get that rainbow jersey. So I wonder if it's road cyclists trying to, steal the cake a little bit from the gravel specialists. Is it just road racing but on dirt at this point? Maybe with the lack of teamwork as we saw at the end of this race. But I don't know. What do you think, Gracie?
Yeah, look, I wish we could see more of the normal field that we would see at other gravel races. I wish the distance was a bit longer. I think that's one of the bigger points in the reasons why some of those more usual suspects aren't there, because they don't see it as being as valid as some of the other bigger events that they do in the season, like Unbound, for example. Like if we made it a 200-kilometer gravel world championships, I think that would be probably more of the sweet spot of what the sport, but how it represents the sport a little better. It doesn't have to be 300, but I think somewhere from 180 to 200 for the women, I think could be a nice distance, that it's a really challenging event. It reflects kind of what the majority of the sport is during the rest of the season, but you're still having it at a point in the year that road riders can come along as well, because I think it should still be fair game for anyone to come along. So if you had it in a different point of the season, that would potentially better suit the gravel scene. I think that would be fair in a sense, because you're building a World Championships that is suited to that series or that calendar. But at the end of the day, you have to have a race that's open to anyone rocking up and winning it. So I think that there can be a little bit of sour grapes from the gravel community that roadies rock up and do well. But at the end of the day, they're just good athletes. So of course they're going to do well. The only thing that takes away from the roadies doing well is when the courses are designed to suit roadies better. So I think that's something as well as the distance, needs to be looked at in the future, that it is more reflective of what the sport is. So it's majority gravel, it has some technical elements, and it has a good distance. And then I don't think it really matters where it is in the calendar. If you want to show up to it, you can show up to it.
It's a really good point, Gracie. Like I wonder if, like, as you were speaking, I kind of in my mind had like 3 separate like pillars, so to speak, or like 4 if you include cyclocross. Like you've got gravel, road, mountain bike, cyclocross, and every single one has like their defining characteristics. It doesn't really overlap with the other. And I think with gravel, like what is gravel? It's attritional, it's long, it's hard, it's technical. Majority of it's on dirt. And I just wonder, I question why then, what was the motivation of the UCI to design a course like this in this way that is so far, that not so far, but it is removed from what gravel is like the rest of the year, as you say, Gracie. So like, does the brand of gravel actually just need to be consistent all the way through the year? Like the brand of road racing is consistent. What we see with mountain biking is typically consistent. Same with cyclocross. Like why is gravel this like sometimes it's like a softer gravel edition is kind of given in these like UCI run events, like whereas like you go to like Unbound and those like Lifetime Grand Prix, like then that's like, you know what you're gonna get like legit gravel races there. So I just question why the UCI kind of deviated from that norm.
Well, you kind of said it. It's run by the UCI, and I'm not saying that to bag them, because we do bag them a lot, but like they're an organization that they're our governing federation, and they run a whole bunch of events through the year for all of the different types of cycling. And I think that they've got that authority to make those decisions. And they do for track worlds. They do for road worlds. They do for cross country, probably even downhill and marathon. But I think gravel is a bit of an unknown to them. And I think they're probably thinking that they're doing a good job. And mostly they are. Like, I'm sure it's a well-run event on the whole. But I think they probably don't understand the nuances of gravel and what the sport really is, and they potentially don't have the right advisors in those decisions. And I'm sure that there's also an element of appealing to roadies, because I think that they'd love to have some World Tour riders, men and women, there. So I think that they're trying to find that not common ground, but they're trying to find a bit more of a compromise of what the courses are. So it's kind of like let's see who shows up and let's make this viewer friendly. So in a sense, that's not the wrong decision. It's just not the right decision for the gravel community.
I mean, they want the name recognition of like big name roadies or cyclocross riders in the case of Shirin or like Matthew van der Poel. They want them there to have the crossover of fan viewership, because I think the gravel community is a lot different when it comes to viewers and like actual numbers of people who would tune in to watch a 200 kilometer long race. It's a lot of gravel racing is the on the ground vibes. And I think for something like the Gravel World Championships, if they were to cater it to what a gravel race really is, then for them, I don't know if there would be much benefit. For them, there's more benefit in making it like a road race. But then there's the problem of like, they've got like what we saw this weekend with the tactics in this race. It was like a free for all, which is very much like there's some teamwork that goes on in gravel races, in the longer gravel races. But at the end of the day, it's like every woman for themselves. And I think that's what we saw in the racing, but it was basically a road race. So that's why it looked so bad, because it was the length of the course and the way the course was designed and the way that the race played out was very road-esque. Whereas like if you had it more catered towards what a gravel event really is for the riders who focus on gravel, then I think that the tactics that we saw wouldn't have gotten as much negative attention.
But I wonder then, like, what would happen if the UCI actually gave support to true gravel racing and like through?
But I don't
like,
think they care.
But that's so then there's the issue, right? So it's like they're just doing it because they're obligated to. They're not doing it because they actually care about the development of that part side of the sport, which is why then do we have a world championship?
Yeah, I don't know if they even like feel obligated or they just wanted to have control over yet another like subset of cycling because they have so much control over every other aspect, like every other discipline when it comes to cycling. And so they saw this up and coming sect of the sport and they wanted to have their hands in it. And so they created this race, but I don't know if they actually like care about the long-term development of gravel and what a world championship jersey on the gravel side means to a rider. Or anything like that. I'm not really sure. I don't think that is what's going on in like when they sit down at a table and they're like, all right, we're gonna talk about the gravel development of gravel. I don't think that it's about, that they want the sport to grow and they want it to flourish and they want, riders to have salaries and they want live coverage and they want all these things. I think it's just because they want control. So Gracie might not be here to bag them, but I am.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of money in gravel, like from a participation point of view. Like at the top end, we've got some good competition, but ultimately, I think the strength of the gravel scene is the people that want to show up to these tough events just to participate. They've trained hard all winter or all summer, and they want to finish unbound, and they want to just come along to some of these one-day or multi-day events. So I think the UCI doesn't necessarily care for the elite end of the sport. They care for that groundswell that is actually a huge part of the cycling economy now that we didn't have 10 years ago.
Yeah, I guess the level of access to gravel is much lower than road cycling in terms of like people feeling like it's less intimidating for them to get involved and therefore then get invested and, race a local gravel race or like recreational ride. And then all of a sudden they start to follow these athletes who have much larger social media presences than road cyclists. And they're far more interactive with that presence. And so like all of a sudden they've got a massive earned media, earned fan base, group there that they can leverage. And then the UCI can also then tap into that because that's multiple data points that the UCI didn't have before, but is like mined from these gravel races.
Well, let's talk about the race itself because it was, as I said, very skewed towards the Dutch with 25 riders on the start line. And they were on the attack from early in the race. And then we had multiple selections, but always with kind of the big names in there, Marianne Vos and Wiebes, probably the two biggest, with also Silvia Persico and Julia Kopecky thrown in there for the Czech and Italian. And in the end, there was an attack by kind of like a multi-regroupings in the last 25 kilometers with attacks from, Vos attacked and Persico attacked. And there was many, many different attacks and all kind of came back together into this group. And one attack with under 15 kilometers to go from Shirin Van Anrooy was, picture perfect. She'd been off the back. She basically came into that group and immediately went. It's what they teach you in How to Attack 101 when you've been dropped. And it was hovering around 20 seconds with Julia Kopecky doing most of the chasing, clearly for Wiebes, because at that point, they're on ST Works Pro Time together, but obviously not on a trade team together. Or not on the national team together. So Kopecky was doing most of the chasing. And then as they kind of got a little bit closer to Shirin going into the final 1.5K, it really looked like Shirin would take it, but then Yara Kastlein attacked and there was some movement from Vos and in the end, they caught Shirin in the final couple 100 meters. Wiebes took the win, Voss second, and Sylvia Persico third. So Yara finished fourth, Shirin fifth, and it was really heartbreaking for Shirin, a rider who she had that iliac artery endofibrosis, and missed all of the cyclocross season. She had a really disappointing end to last season with that injury in mind, and hasn't really had an amazing season this year, has been really working her way back, obviously, after that surgery. So would have been such an incredible kind of comeback story for her. And I think I'm obviously like a little bit biased, but also like just as a journalist, it would have been a better story had she been able to take this victory versus another like, oh, Wiebes wins, which we're going to talk about her win and her winning streak at the moment. But yeah, I don't know. That's how the race played out. Disappointment on the line for Shirin van Anrooij, and another Wiebes win over Marianne Vos with Italy rounding out the podium.
Imagine being like, you're like neck deep in pain, and you are, 150 meters, like 100 to 50 meters from the finish line. You're ahead of the race. You think you're going to win. And then you look over your shoulder and you see just your own teammates chasing you down. What do you think in that moment?
You would not be pleased, I'm sure, that there was a few swear words exchanged in those moments or shortly thereafter. Poor thing. I think too, though, that this situation could hopefully inform future rules around entry lists and how many people per nation is allowed, because I think because it's still a new event, it's pretty much open to a baseline level of qualification, for lack of a better word. So yeah, to have that many Dutch riders and that many of other nations too, I think despite it being a race that's more individualistic than a road race, there's still definitely elements of teamwork. And we see that in gravel racing throughout the season. Even though they're racing for trade teams or personal sponsors, there are people that do pair up. Usually there's not really more than twos and threes, but it's at this level at World Championships, I think that there should still be caps on how many athletes per nation there should be, because you'd never be able to say that they're all racing for themselves. Like, you have to expect a certain level of teamwork from nations, even if it doesn't happen definitely or every time. So that's just my deviation from the race chat.
No, it's a good one. Once again, it's the UCI.
Yeah, you could have like the gravel worlds could be trade team. Like, you don't race for your nation. Then we would have probably seen the exact same scenario play out, but it would have made more sense, because if you're watching this and like you're watching Yara close down Shirin, who had it, in my opinion, with like 8K to go, she had it in the bag. Like, she was, I texted the press officer for Little Trek and I was like, Trek just had that release their new gravel bike. Get those rainbow colors firing, like get the paint job going. Cause I thought there was no way with the composition of that group behind that Julia Kopecky was going to close it down single-handedly. And I assumed that the Dutch wouldn't ride. And I thought if they did, that it would be Vos and Wiebes kind of Vos had earlier in the race been clearly trying to tire Wiebes out to take her to the line not as fresh. And I think that wouldn't have worked in the end anyway, because Lorena is just so strong this season, and we've seen her time and time again not be phased by the climbs that were part of that we saw in this gravel race. But like, with mostly Dutch in that group, and only Kopecky chasing, I thought for sure Shirin had it. And I was so disappointed to see Yara Kastelein on the front going as hard as she was, because from that group, there was no way she was going to podium. There was no way. Like, with Vos, Wiebes, and Persico, who is really good sprinter, and Yara Kastelein's very, very, very strong. But she's just, if you line them all up in a row and you're like, hey, on your mark, get set, sprint, she's not going to podium. And so I was like, what are you doing? Why are you on the front I was screaming at the TV, like, get off the front. What are you doing? Because she basically just let it out for Wiebes. So what they ended up doing, even if they were not racing as a nation, which apparently afterwards there was some quotes from Lawrence Tendam, who I praised in the last episode for his handling of the road national team and kind of bringing the team back together to ride together in the Worlds and in the Europeans, about how it wasn't really like they had gone into it as kind of a free for all. But it was, God, yeah, I just feel for Shirin. I feel so bad for Shirin.
It was, heartbreaking. And just like, I just had a lot of cognitive dissonance watching that finishing 500 meters. Like, what is going on? You just like, seeing such a, it was just weird. I didn't really quite understand it. And I think it's the fact that they all wear their nation's jersey, but they're not racing for the nation itself.
I mean, Kopecky, or after the men's race, there was some quotes from some of the professional men about how they go to this race like wearing the national team colors, but they like stay, for example, I think it was Quinton Herman's, like they stay with their trade team teammates. It's like all self-funded, which is another reason that the gravel pros don't go to the, or like maybe opt out of the Worlds, is because they can make money doing the Lifetime Grand Prix races, whereas like they have to pay their own way to gravel Worlds and accommodation and everything. And so like, why would they race as a team when it's not even like, there's no organization really from some federations to have it be like a normal national team event. So like Kopecky riding for Julia Kopecky, confusing, riding for Wiebes makes total sense, because they're on SC Works Pro Time together. They're going to enjoy that jersey together if they like do any gravel races next year. Like, so what you're saying, like gravel Worlds for road pros is just a PR stunt. Yeah. I mean, it's still a bike race. Like they still, I wonder if Wiebes is going to get like a bonus from the team for winning a race. And actually I haven't thought about if she gets winning bonuses, like RIP. That's insane. But like, I think the road team is the one who gets to like post about it on their social media, and I think as for the Dutch, like they wouldn't want to claim this one after the. No. I mean, Yara Kastelein, to be fair, like she apologized after the race, apologized to Shirin, said that like in her mind, she was just trying to do the best result she could for herself. And she thought the podium was within reach. And the plan going into the race had been, like see what you can do. And so she was just taking that literally without much, I don't know, common sense when you have.
Did she look who was on her wheel?
She did not. She said after the race, only like when she saw the pictures, that was only when she realized that Persico was in that group. So it could have been a Dutch clean sweep of the podium. And I guess in a sense, like, I guess there is a silver lining to that. We had an Italian on the podium and it wasn't just a Dutch clean sweep. So 25 riders in the race, but they only managed first and second and fourth and fifth.
They have 25 riders.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Man, what? They're taking the piss. They're taking the absolute piss. Are they kidding? Are they seriously kidding? What the hell? Do you see we need to hang them out to dry? That's absurd.
Oh my God. But I mean, what? I think like there's a lot of not taking gravel seriously, and it's not doing itself any favors with this race.
No, this is the UCI not taking gravel seriously. This is not gravel taking your gravel seriously.
No, but it's also like people who are potential fans of gravel watching this race and being like, what is this mess? And they're not going to take it serious. If they don't have any other exposure to other gravel events, they're also not going to take it seriously. So they're doing a huge disservice to the sport of gravel with this crap.
Did the Dutch just do like a bulk order on Dutch national team jerseys? Like, what the hell? Are they serious? They must have gotten some hell of a discount.
Yeah, Gravel Worlds is for everyone that got to go to the other various championships, but then everyone else that didn't get to go to those championships is which is a lot.
Championships is. Yeah, I remember like we what did we talk like when Matt was on the podcast, we talked about how hard that World Championships team would have been to make. It was just this was a commiseration prize to everyone else.
I mean, Wiebes like didn't race the championships is because the courses didn't suit her at all. So going into this, like, yeah, I mean, on top of the fact that the gravel race was just nutty to watch and everything, the win rate for Wiebes right now, there's a lot being made about Pogacar's win rate on the road at the moment, and well, impressive. I would like to just take a look at the last 2 months of racing for Lorena Wiebes. She has only one time finished outside of first since the end of August. She won every stage of CMAC Ladies Tour except the time trial. She won the the two like 1 point races that she's done since, and that's Formé and Bianche, the Belgian Classic 1.1, and she won Gravel Worlds. So she's just like, of the 10 races that she's done in the last 6 weeks or 2 months, she won GP Lucien. So her first race post Tour de France, where she won 2 stages. So it's just insane. Like, of the 10 races she's done recently, she's won 9 of them.
She's a phenom.
It is insane. It's insane. Like, holy crap. Even the best sprinter on the men's side couldn't achieve what Lorena Wiebes has achieved this season. And I think like, yeah, like I'm hating on the Gravel Worlds, and I would have loved to, I had my fingers fired up for a comeback story about Shirin's win. But for Wiebes, like, there's no getting around how insane of a rider she is. And this win rate that she has this year is wild. Only Voss in her prime could have achieved something like this.
Yeah, but Voss also said at the Tour de France, like, she has never seen anyone like Wiebes. She's never raced anyone like Wiebes. She is one of a kind.
Yeah.
Yeah, seems like she's only getting better every season. So it's scary to see that she potentially hasn't even reached her potential. She's getting stronger on the hillier courses. Her sprint is just getting sharper. Like, she's just getting harder to beat in the out-and-out sprints on the flat days. So how the hell do you beat her if it's not more than 2,000 meters or so of climbing? Even then, it has to be a bit more than that.
Yeah, I mean, it can't be done right now. Yeah,
when's her contract up?
Form, it can't be done. She signed through 2028 with SD Works Pro Time.
Yeah, well, I mean, the bidding war is going to be interesting when that comes up.
Yeah, I mean, she's finally moved into I believe now she's leading the UCI points. Demi's leading, but I think, yeah, she's close on the UCI points overall, which is, I mean, something that I always keep an eye on out of just curiosity. But between her and Demi, you have to assume that, well, I don't know if SD Works actually is going to China. They don't normally go, but if they do, then she's got the UCI points competition wrapped up for the year, because there's no way that Demi would be able to hold on to it. If she goes to China, she's winning 4 more races this season.
Yeah, SD Works doesn't love the trips, the longer trips.
They're not going. I mean, if she does this again next season, I don't know what I'm going to do when I have to write headlines. Like, I'm going to have to make it a game for myself.
Wiebes 1, Wiebes 2, Wiebes 3.
She's so incredibly talented, but also just like, yeah, she clearly works so hard on every single one of her weaknesses, because like at this point her only weaknesses are longer climbs, but what she doesn't need it. She's like, she doesn't need to get better at that. She's doing fine.
Yeah, I'd love to be that talented. So she's making the most of it, that's for sure. She's definitely making some bank. Good on her.
Yeah, I just want to know what her bonus structure is.
Yeah. Imagine being like, yeah, that talented.
At anything.
I'm just ruminating about that. I'm just like, is it good to be average though at some things? I feel like it would be.
Sure it is.
I'm severely average at a lot of things. And I feel like it's good for my ego, you know?
That's the craziest thing about her, is that she doesn't really have an ego. Like, she's like funny, she's down to earth. She's not walking around like pompous, you know?
She's actually quite easy to interview. I haven't done it too many times, but whenever I have done it, she's been very friendly and warm.
Yeah, but like, what does she average at? Right.
I mean, probably everything else. Maybe she can't cook.
Yeah, maybe.
She's a terrible cook.
I can imagine she'd be quite good though.
We'll just have to get her on for an interview and then we can ask what she's average at.
What are you bad at? We need to know.
Yeah.
For our sanity, please.
We can all, compare notes.
Because she also has the best nails in the Peloton.
Oh.
Yeah.
So clearly she's got a fashion sense. All right. Well, I called up Heidi Franz, who was 13th in the gravel worlds, to chat about the race from inside. So let's hear from Heidi really quick. So first, congrats, 13th at Gravel Worlds. That's pretty good with the field that they had.
Thanks. Yeah, I feel pretty happy with that, considering it felt like it was just the Dutch team in front of me.
It was.
And even though Julia Kopecky is not Dutch, she raced like she was Dutch. So I was like, okay, well, there were like 3 people who were not Dutch in this situation. Anyway. Yeah, it was really nice. It was a really good day.
Yeah, I mean, how did it feel kind of standing on the start line with 25 Dutch riders?
It didn't really hit me until we were like in a group together, and then literally like the first 4 rows of the front were all orange. Like at one point, Tiff Cromwell and I were next to each other, and I was like, when did we enter the Dutch National Gravel Championships? And she's like, yeah, seriously, this is what it feels like. And then like 2 seconds later, Nina Kessler rode up next to me and I was like, Nina, how are we supposed to beat you guys today? And actually her response was great. She was like, oh, just let them play games. Let them play their games and then it'll work out. And I was like, okay, thanks for the answer.
They played their games and they lost a podium sweep because of it. I wanted to chat with you because we had a long conversation in the podcast about the gravel worlds and how it's stacked up versus other gravel events and if it's really like representative of the world champion of gravel. As we know, there's been a lot of road riders who have raced the gravel worlds and it's been won mostly by road professionals with the exception of maybe like Pauline Ferrand-Prévot the first year. And she's obviously a mountain bike professional at the time when she won it. So for you, you've done both like high level gravel events and the world championships and road. So from your perspective, what does the world championships of gravel represent?
At the moment, because of the lack of North American participation, the last 2 years, really, it feels like the world championships of the roadie who can ride gravel the best, or the world championships of like who has the best bike handling skill and strength of the roadies. I wish that it like shrunk in one way and grew in another way. And by that, I mean, I wish that there were less World Tour riders in the field. And I think there would be if everyone was required to race at least one UCI gravel event. If everyone was required to qualify in the same way, I think you would see a much more even playing field. And I think that would also legitimize the world championships more in the sense that like we're not showing up to mountain bike worlds because we can't do that. Like, Tom Pidcock going off and like saying, oh yeah, well, this is my first gravel race. And it was Lotte Kopecky's first gravel race last year. And it was it was Kassia's first gravel race the year before that. So it's like, well, no wonder the North American participation is pretty low considering, I don't know, maybe they don't see it as a worthwhile thing. I think that's the difference between like the mentality of have an opportunity to race at a world championship and represent my country at any opportunity. I'm seeing that as an amazing thing. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Like it's a world championship. Why wouldn't I race it? And maybe the other, North American side of things, the other gravel specialists don't necessarily see it as a legitimate world championship yet, which is a shame because I think it would be a lot better if they were there. And I think it would be a lot more representative of a proper gravel field if they were there. Yeah. It's like, I get annoyed when I hear the Americans complain about the lack of support from USA Cycling because if any of them qualified for a road world championship, they would receive the same amount of support. It doesn't matter. Whatever discipline you choose, you're probably gonna end up with the same like costs. you're going to have to pay for your flight to get there. You're going to have to, unless you become Olympic champion or world champion on the road or win a world tour bike race, like you're not going to receive the same level of funding or support. And it's like, I've been lucky the last few years to receive some help because there was like a little bit of extra funding available. But otherwise, like I have had to pay for some things and get myself there. And every other world on gravel, I've paid my way to. So yeah, it's a long answer to a big question, but
yeah, and I think like that was one of the reasons that I wanted to talk to you, because you were in the race. You got to experience kind of the Dutchness of the race and how the race played out. And you've been a part of other gravel worlds, you've been a part of road worlds, like you've experienced so much within the sport and have this unique lens of where this discipline fits in the wider picture of cycling. And being an American in Europe, where like you're coming from like the US where gravel is really big, and in Europe where they're really trying to make it more of a desired event, like bigger for people to come to from all different, levels of cycling. Whenever there's a gravel event, like one of the fun things about it is that there's so many different people that rock up to a gravel event for so many different reasons. And I think for the gravel worlds, that's one of the things that I think like they really missed the mark. It's like treating it like it's a road world championships, but obviously like I've never been there on the ground, so I don't know how it compares to like a road worlds in terms of the UCI's organization of the race.
Well, to that point, I would say the last 2 years, it's really dependent on the organization that's been in charge of running it. I think Bolero as an organization does a really good job, and they have a really nice atmosphere, and it's really evident that honestly the masters competitors, like the age group competitors, really carry these world championships. Like I think you would have the same amount of spectators, the same amount of hype and like excitement around the event, whether there was Matthew van der Poel showing up or Voss or Lorena Wiebes or just like whoever does show up in the elite field. Like, there are so many passionate masters and age group people that are like really love this discipline. That is a really big difference to me between a road world championship and a gravel world championship. I think you still get the fun dynamic of the race and the event, where like for me, I was staying in the same house with like 75 plus year old age groupers and a couple other people that were in the men's 19 to 34 age group, and then a couple women that were in my age group or in my field. And then, yeah, it was like a nice wide range, and you get to talk to a lot of different people. So it still kind of had me the like same core feel goodness of gravel racing, which I really liked, and kind of all there to like help each other out too. The classic like gravel nerdy questions, like tire pressure and tire choice and whatnot. So I think actually that's a good thing that the event still does, despite being a UCI World Championship, putting that on the label. That organization, I would say, Bolero, like they did a really good job of keeping that.
How was your race once it kind of got blown to pieces?
The race was so fun. Like honestly, I haven't come away from a race for a long time feeling like, whoa, that was really fun. And like a couple other people, a couple other Americans felt the exact same way. We were like, oh my God, that actually the most fun day. It's like on a personal level, it was reflective of like that I have on paper actually, and being able to see myself do what I think I'm capable of in a race like that one that's just super punchy and constantly cornering, like a classic style in Limburg, like an Amstel like course. And I had a lot of fun, and I just got like really good legs on the day. I could breathe, which is kind of a recent discovery that I like for a really long time I have just not been able to breathe properly. And I've like finally figured out this puzzle, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm actually feeling amazing having figured this out. Yeah, so I was being as well positioned as I could amongst the sea of orange, and was finally able to play out, I know of a classics style race on gravel, being like an elimination race from the back, but also having like enough bike handling skill and like technical skill to be in good position at, really important parts, passing people on like some of the sketchy descents, like implementing basically every skill that I have in my book. How my day went. And then I promised Wade that I would not lose the bunch sprint if I was in a bunch sprint. So I had to win the bunch sprint at the finish. And I was really proud of that too, because I went exactly how I wanted it. Like I was finally able to like implement a sprint that I knew I was good at, and kind of play it to my strengths, and ended up beating some really fast people. So yeah, I was really stoked about it.
Yeah, I was really excited to see you 13th. I mean, I think like as someone who's watched your career for years at this point, the progress that you've made both on the road and in the gravel scene, and especially like in the European gravel scene, which is its own beast, has been just really fun to watch. So when I was looking at the results, I was like, oh my God, Heidi!
Thanks. Thanks, Abby. Yeah, it is like a lucky 13, I think. Yeah. And to be honest, it's like, man, I think I had the legs to be in the group up there. And I didn't quite know what to do with the legs I had on the day. It was a little bit of like, oh my God, some unknown territory here, actually. I should have just like gone for it. There was maybe one point where we were close enough, with the gap that I could have tried to jump across. And then the moment was quickly gone with 20 more Dutch girls in front of us blocking the road. It really was like, you could tell from the beginning they were going to race against each other, because there's no way all of them would work for one goal. Like, there's just no way. If you know the Dutch team and like the Dutch history and like how they work, there was just no way that was going to happen. But on the other hand, they would like be attacking and getting groups off the front together, and then be actively racing against each other in those groups, while also in the pack, like in the peloton, crowd the front so that nothing else could happen to their teammates up the road who were racing against each other. It was a very weird dynamic at some points, and very frustrating, but luckily there was no time to focus on it, because you were literally turning every 5 seconds. So
yeah, like it was so interesting to watch from like the perspective of it's not often that they have like gravel races live, So I was watching it like, wait, is this an every person for themselves, or like Kopecky riding for Wiebes clearly? Like, it's just like pure chaos. Like, who knows what's going on at any given point.
Yeah. My thoughts when I first saw the footage of the finish, I was like, okay, was there some bonus money promised or something? Like, I honestly, I was racking my brain trying to figure out what could have been.
The conspiracy theorists think that Yara Castellan's got an SD Works Pro time.
That's a good theory.
I'm pretty sure she's already signed for next year, but that's neither here nor there. We'll let them theorize. Well, Heidi, it was really awesome to hear your perspective from the race. I think, it's one of those ones where I was really excited that I knew someone who was in the mix to kind of chat through the whole thing with, because from like the race itself to the greater gravel picture, I think there's a lot that we have yet to kind of really figure out. So
I think the gravel scene itself doesn't know a lot of the answers to these questions and has to figure itself out too. But I think the most important thing is to just start legitimizing it, and seriously, like, I don't know, set some clearer boundaries on field size and the number of wild cards that are given out and how people qualify, because it should be like a proper, a gravel racers event for sure.
All right, moving on to transfers. We've had a couple since last recording. 2 more riders signed to Picnic Post NL, Lucy Fitius and Robin Clay. And they're really adding a lot of young riders to their roster. So that team, I mean, yeah, it's very much in a rebuilding phase, it feels like, with a lot of riders leaving, which brings us into 2 other signings that I'm very excited about, one of which I hinted at a month ago or so. Megan Jastrab and Paulina Warekas to UAE Team ADQ. Jastrab, former teammate of mine, incredibly talented, just an insanely cool person. So she's coming from a couple years with Picnic Post NL, some successful years with Picnic Post NL, into UAE Team ADQ as a very talented lead-out rider. She's been Charlotte Cool's lead-out train for a while now. So coming into them as a sprinter herself, but also in the capacity to help someone like Laura Gillespie in the fast finishes.
Yeah, UAE is still stacking up, aren't they? They were the team that we were excited to talk about this year. They certainly delivered, and they're just going to keep getting better as they keep spending that money.
Yeah, but also it seems like they've got like, I haven't always said this about UAE, but they seem to have like a really nice culture. I mean, at least from what I saw at the tour, like everyone seems really happy and like keep holding each other up and kind of in it together mentality. And Megan Jastrab is one of those. So it's going to be cool to see.
I mean, yeah, everything that I've heard from riders on the team is that it's a really, really positive atmosphere to be a part of, and run by a woman. So it's, for a women's team run by a woman, there's clear like small things that make a big difference when it comes to team mentality.
100%. Like, yeah, I've said this a lot. Fish rots from the head. Got to have good leadership from the top.
It's a very vivid description, but I agree.
Have you not heard that before? I say that all the time because I just talk about rotten heads all the time.
Jastrab's didn't surprise me. Like, I think that she's going to have a good space for herself in that squad. I was a little bit more surprised of the Royakas move across there. I'm not quite sure how she fits into that team because they have quite a good, strong climbing group already.
Yeah, I was really, really surprised about Royakas actually, because she has made such a massive leap in her performance while riding for Phoenix Tekunik. Like, she was on Canyon SRAM a couple years ago and she had a couple decent results, but really struggled with some of the more technical aspects of racing, and they weren't interested in developing her. And so she moved to Phoenix Tekunik, and that's when she really started to shine as a rider. And of course the highlight being her podium finish at the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift and overall last year. And so I was really, really surprised to see her moving away from an organization that was able to tap into that potential so successfully. But I think for UAE Team ADQ, they're just adding to their climbing talent, and they obviously had huge success with Elisa Longa-Borghini this year at the Giro and a lot of other races, but they can't rely on Elisa and only Elisa to go into all 3 Grand Tours for the win. And I think next year will be really interesting with the move in the Giro and how that change in the calendar impacts Elisa's goals, because I think she can target the Giro and the Tour next year, but they need to have some kind of fallback plan. And I think Royakas is both doubles as like a great domestique for Elisa or her own leader in races, and she can learn a lot from Elisa as well. And then they have up and coming talent like Maeve, obviously, and Dominika Wolodarczyk. So that team is just looking stronger and stronger. And I think with Royakas, like, they have now more options for the GC that they didn't have this year, and hopefully better luck at the Tour, because this year was, well, they won 2 stages, but
yeah.
So do they need it?
I think you're right, Abby. It's definitely good for them to have another GC rider, not just Elisa. But it would be strange though, because obviously Elisa's won the Giro twice, but she hasn't been able to crack the Tour, whereas Royakas has cracked the Tour podium. But you have to assume that if they took both of them to next year's tour, they'd still ride for Elisa.
I
Which
would
is
assume that.
a funny
yes.
situation when someone has already
Yeah.
podiumed, but they're not the plan A.
But they did that. I mean, Phoenix Akunik did that this year at the tour. They went into the tour fully for Puck. That was their entire plan. So even though she had finished on the tour podium the year before, she wasn't their A plan going into this tour. And I think that may have soured her relationship with Phoenix Akunik a little bit. I mean, I know I would be disappointed if I'd finished on the tour podium and the next year they were like, but we like this. We're going to go for this rider instead. And then obviously Puck didn't have a great tour at all, and Rutgers ended up being their GC rider in the end anyway. And yeah, that would be a frustrating situation to be a part of.
I wonder if at this point, if you're Elisa, and sorry, Elisa, if you do listen to this podcast, you can do whatever you want. Don't take a word of advice from me. Who am I? But what if she just goes full noise on the Giro and foregoes the tour?
I mean, she did that the last 2 years. And I think going into the tour this year, it's not like she was going into it with a goal of a GC result. She just wanted a stage.
Yeah.
That was her goal going into the tour wasn't the overall. But I think the way that the calendar is blocked out next year, she can go full gas for the Giro again and then do it again for the tour. And it's not going to be that big of a turnaround. But I think having someone like Rutgers or going in with co-leadership even is a good thing going into the tour, because it's the tour is the tour. If you have two people who can finish on the podium, and they can work together, it's better than having one. And we know that Elisa is an incredible teammate. And if Rutgers is looking like she's the better rider, that Elisa is going to ride for her. There's not going to be any pushback. And I think that having somebody like that in your corner would also change how you race. I would assume that if Elisa's like, look, we're going to go in co-leaders. If you're stronger, I'll ride for you, that Rutgers would do the same.
Yeah. I mean, they're both mature athletes, you'd hope.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So but definitely like one of the most surprising transfers for me so far this year, in a season where a lot of the biggest talents are signed through 2026. I wasn't expecting to see this move, this high profile of a rider on the move. So caught me off guard, that one, but I like it. See what Phoenix Akunik is going to do about that, because they obviously still have a lot of climbing talent on the team, but a lot of those riders have yet to kind of crack a GC like Rutgers has. Yara Castelline has had some incredible performances, obviously, but at the end of the day, she's had weaknesses where Rutgers has been able to squeak through. And Puck is such an incredible athlete, but when it comes to the overall of a week-long stage race, that's something she hasn't been able to crack yet. That's going to take a little bit more experience in the sport, I think, for Puck, and willingness, because right now with her splitting 3 disciplines and the way that road cycling is going, I think it's going to only get harder for Puck to target something like a tour overall if she's also trying to juggle mountain biking at the same time. Well, we had 3 other races last week that we can talk about really briefly. Trevally, Elisa Longo-Borghini beat Demi Vollering, and that was actually really, really good race on Tuesday. Some really fascinating tactics, and I think I was super excited to see how Demi raced Europeans, and then we turned around to Trevally, where Elisa Longo-Borghini really took advantage of Vollering's naivete potentially in bike racing, and the two of them were really like the strongest riders on the day, and there were some really solid riders in the mix, like Niamh Fisher-Black was up there as well, and she's clearly come into the end of this season flying, but in the end the two of them rode to the line together, and Demi did the entire, she pulled the entire time. Elisa didn't hit the wind once, so when it came to the finish, Elisa was able to just sprint around her and take that win. And another podium for EF with Ruig on the podium out of the chase group. But yeah, I think I was laughing a little bit to myself, just because I was like, oh man, Demi, that was, yeah. That was some bold tactics. I mean, she obviously wouldn't have wanted to like sit up. Like I admire the fact that she was like, no, we're out here, we're going, we're all in. But it was really a really interesting like flip, because usually Aliza is doing too much and would come second in a sprint against Demi. But she really, like, Aliza played it so well, and Demi just played right into her hands.
Maybe it's just the jersey. Just got to her head a little bit.
It looked really good though.
It did look FDJ do a great jersey, hey? It looked phenomenal.
Yeah,
like I
good.
Did love it. And it was cool to see, the tricolor and the European jersey going tit for tat, which was awesome.
Yeah.
It was a very stylish duo to finish the race. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Longo would have been, look, Italian race, Italian winner in the Italian jersey. I think she'd be pretty stoked with that.
The other Italian race, Trofeo Tessil Moda, I think. One of the newer Italian races at the tail end of the calendar. And this one ended with a really long climb. Marlon Reusser was on the attack on the climb, doing her steady, bone-breaking pace. But Elise Langeborghini outclimbed her, rode to another win.
So you're going to say bro-breaking pace, and I was like...
Bone-breaking.
Bro-breaking?
She would break some bros, I think.
Yeah, I think she would.
I'm sure she has.
If you've been a bro that's been broken by Marlon Reusser, please ring in.
Send us some information. We
Look, all three of us have broken some bros too, so let's just say
have.
It's not just the Royces of the world.
No, never. Yeah, another win for Aliza. I think with the ups and downs she's had this season, obviously she won the Giro, but then she couldn't finish the Tour, and the Worlds didn't go her way. But to have 2 wins at the tail end of the season with these 2 Italian races, like on home soil in the tricolor, is something that exactly how she would want to end her season. And a podium finish for your girl, Urshka Zigart.
Yeah, I just got a message from her then. Gonna call her on my way home.
I mean, she's really getting just better and better. I can't wait to see how she continues to progress. I
honestly think it's just belief, like genuine belief from those around her that makes a lot of difference. And of course investment and such, but like I think she just feels really comfortable and safe where she is.
Yeah. The only other race last week was the one day in Belgium, won by Lorena Wiebes. And that the finale of that one was actually pretty good as well. It was a cobbled sprint, and the last 25K is worth watching, and I will put all of the YouTube clips in the newsletter for those of you who are interested in keeping up with that. Coming up this week, today, as you're listening to this, Tour of Chongming Island is the next stage race, the last stage race on the Women's World Tour calendar from October 14th to the 16th. It is a sprint fest. It's always sprint finishes, and or almost always, unless someone escapes. But this year, I will write a preview for everybody in the newsletter for these ones, and we'll have some more World Tour teams on the star list. Previously, a lot of World Tour teams have sat this one out, but this year, like Little Trek, for example, they're going to be there with Balsamo. Anna Henderson is there as well. So some teams that are clearly keen to pick up some points. UA Team ADQ is going to be there, but then we also have a bunch of teams that are on the points hunt that will make the race exciting, like Vocal Vessels and Human Powered Health. They always want some points. They always come good in races like this, so it'll be an interesting one. The 3 stages of Chongming Island, and then there's the Tour of Guangxi on October 19th to finish out the season, and that one has some climbing in it, and it's come down to a sprint a lot of the time, but it's definitely a little bit more of a roller coaster. So yeah, more racing coming up, and we'll talk about it next week. All right. Anyone got any obsessions? Are you obsessed with your new job?
I guess it's a good career decision to say yes.
I don't know. Does your boss listen to this podcast?
Claire, if you're listening, I love it. No, I do. And she does. So no, I do love it here. It's really cool atmosphere, great culture. And we get to do some really cool work. Solve some problems that it's like the real commercial issues that faced by like sporting bodies around like fan engagement, and branding and marketing and things like that. So I feel like a pig in mud.
Very cool. It's a cool
Thank you.
space to be in. So very happy for
Yeah.
you, Georgie. And getting paid's pretty
Thank
nice too.
Getting paid is pretty nice. But yeah, very cool office, 50 Lonsdale. We get to work with some really cool clients. Yeah, didn't think I'd be learning about golf, but here I am learning about golf. So, it's cool. At the nice end of the city. So quick entry, quick exit.
Nice.
What about you, Gracie?
I have finished the second season of Wednesday and I just love it. It's so good. It's silly and fun, but it's really well done. And like the
That rhymed.
sets and the costumes. Yeah, it did. I don't know. They just do a really good job of it. And I'm very entertained by it. So I was sad when I finished it. So looking forward to the next season already.
Georgie will appreciate my obsession, although I do kind of have to. Still can't. I've actually listened to Life of a Showgirl so much at this point that I don't even need to put it on. It's just kind of playing in like a mini record player in my head without my consent. But the album files will be resurrected this week to talk about The Life of a Showgirl with Ian Treloar and Matt Denif. So, if you didn't know, we have a music podcast, a little known music podcast, the three of us. So really excited to get the band back together after two of us had babies, and we couldn't record for like a year. So I'm really excited about that. But my obsession is the new Athlos track and field league. Over the weekend, they had a long jump in Times Square at night. Oh my God, it was freaking incredible. It was so cool. So cool. Like the amount of people that would have been exposed to that event in Times Square in New York City, and the vibes, just like how the athletes the athletes are like went all in on their fits and everything. Tara Davis Woodhull, who's one of my favorite track and field athletes, she had a like two-piece suit that had a bunch of like groundbreaking women of color from track and field faces on it, including her own. Just like incredible league that is starting next year, and this was kind of the first taste of what's to come. And I think one of the coolest things for me is just how the league came about and how much input the athletes themselves had into how the league will work next year. So just super excited for the future of track and field. And it's a sport that like I absolutely love watching, just athletics across the board, and has just horrendous live coverage. So I'm just really, really hoping that this helps their live coverage situation and that I can watch more of it.
Yeah. I mean, it was sick.
Yeah, it was cool. I'm just really loving the crossovers that we're getting with fashion and pop culture and women's sports, and it seems like it's really starting to take off. I think I sent you guys a video a little while back of a street race that was kind of like a race / catwalk at Paris Fashion Week, where people could turn up and race, but like had to be fully kitted out in their favorite running outfit. And it was just an awesome way for brands to come and showcase some of that stuff and have it super engaging. We had Matilda's player, Mary Fowler, walk in one of the top end designer shows at Paris Fashion Week. So we're just seeing more and more of this. We're not just seeing the expressions in fashion of the walk-ins anymore, of the personal outfits. We're seeing proper cross collaborations with brands and events, which is pretty awesome.
I mean, for this event, did you guys see they don't get medals, they get crowns?
Yes.
No, I didn't see that. That's awesome.
I think it's Tiffany. They get like a Tiffany crown.
Wow.
Fantastic branding from Tiffany.
Yeah. I mean, just amazing. It's the women's sport continues to just set the bar. I mean, I'm so excited for this league. It starts next year. I cannot wait. But already with only one event, they've got, they're changing the game, and it's amazing. And it's women's only league. Like there's no men. Although it is, I think, started by Mr. Serena Williams. So but he obviously married to Serena Williams, so he knows how important it is to take the athletes into consideration when forming the league. And yeah, that's something that I will probably talk about a lot next year.
Georgie, did you listen to the Taylor Swift album just perchance after last week's discussion?
Gracie, why did you ever ask the teacher if they remembered about the homework that they prescribed last week?
I was just
have
intrigued.
to listen to it. It's fine.
I haven't, and I got in trouble by my friend Julia. When we went to a gig on Friday night. She's like,
"Oh, I'm really glad I'm not the only one who's disappointed in you."
Yeah, she was very disappointed in me.
Gracie, do you like it anymore?
I do. Yes, I do. It's stuck in my head a lot without my consent. So
yep, there's some real earworms on it.
There is. No, it is growing on me. I still stand with some of the comments I made last week, but it's fun. So I'm happy that it's stuck in my head sometimes.
I'm going back on some of the comments I made last week. But like in a good way. But you'll hear all about it on the Album Files podcast.
Yeah, save it for the pod. Save it for that pod. Save it for that.
Geordie's like, enough.
All right. Thanks everyone so much for listening. We'll be back next week to talk about the races in China, and we're almost done. We're almost done with the season.
This episode was produced, edited, and mixed by Will Jones at Red Bricks Media.